Today we have our 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe 2.0 turbo. It is manual swapped. After doing the manual swap, we have not done the reverse lights. Whenever we put it in reverse, the reverse lights do not come on yet. So today we're going to figure that out. Let's get to it. So it looks like our positive wire that leads to the tail lights, which then gets grounded by the chassis. Our power wire comes out of one of these areas out of the junction box in here, which is the 9th connector out of here. So we're just going to splice that wire, give it its positive, go to the transmission, give that sensor its positive, go through the sensor, then it goes to the tail lights and gets grounded. Let's go ahead and find where we need to get to this connector 9 to splice that wire and get to it. We have our voltmeter here, we have our leads, we have some extra leads, and then we're only going to need 2 T-pins, so whatever you have to back probe those connectors. The connector that is the very bottom one, which is labeled F, and on a wiring diagram it's telling us it's the 9th one and it's orange. So we have our big connectors, our big wires, and then our small wires. Our orange wire, which is our 9th wire. So that wire is going to be the wire that we power. So once we've disconnected that connector, we're going to go ahead and back probe this orange wire to the other orange wire that's connected on the tail light. So once we go back to our tail lights, you can see our connector right here as a orange wire. Of course, you just take off your. Let's go ahead and back probe our tail light wire, our orange one. There's only one orange one. And we'll connect our connectors to it. Our leads, our alligator clips. So as you can tell, the tail light wire is back probed with this wire right here. And we're gonna go ahead and turn on our voltmeter to resistance. Basically, we're turning it on resistance to see if it's an open circuit or closed circuit when doing this, to make sure that that wire is connected to this wire. When you look at the connector, these pins right here, they're all empty except for that first tiny one. So we're gonna back probe that first tiny one right here, and back probe that first tiny one that's probed. We can tell we have a connection there. That orange wire from the back of connector we were looking at, F. Orange wire, or the 9th wire to this connector, is the one that you're gonna need to power to get those reverse lights on whenever you put it in reverse. Transmission here, we have the sensor that hangs down. It's just the 2 wires, green and green. This is our sensor that's connected right there. Just that one. Really just to show y'all the example, I took out the connector, put the alligator clips inside the connector, then just made the leads right there. As you can tell, the switch is off because we are in neutral right now, or any gear. So right now it says OO. Make sure we'll go through all the gears so nothing goes wrong. First, second, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then when we go into reverse, you can tell we get a reading. Back in reverse. All we're going to need is some wire strippers, wire cutters. We have our wire, red wire, black wire, our solder seal wire connector, and some heat shrink just to go over this, just to make it look clean and it's a lot safer. You're also going to need a lighter for the solder connections and the heat shrink. So it looks like I don't want to run my wire through this under the transmission. 1, it's ugly. 2, it's kind of getting close to this exhaust and everything. I'm gonna try to go ahead and feed up and around the transmission. spool through. Basically just going to find a length where I'm gonna want it to. So I've already previously cut a hole in my firewall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to feed the wire through the firewall and then down through so I can solder it to one of those wires. So we have it all wired up down there. On the inside is what's important. We're gonna want to cut the orange one that's on the 9th pin here. And as on the connector, you can see these ones are empty. This one, the very first pin that has a pin in there, that's the wire that's connected to it. It's on the 2013 Hyundai Genesis Coupe. It's gonna be this orange wire. So I've already peeled back some tape so we can expose some of the wires so we can cut it and get our solder on there. So we have our power supply here and our 15 amp fuse that we ended up wiring in there. And it goes down into there, and then the power goes down to the sensor. So with everything wired up, we can now go ahead and put it through the gears. Nothing comes on. When we go ahead and put in reverse, you can see the reverse lights now come on. I hope you got to learn something about the Genesis Coupe. Hope you got to learn something about a little wiring. Maybe you happen to do it yourself for your own reverse lights. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.